All right. Welcome to this deep dive. And, we've got some really cool stuff to go through today.
Yeah.
You brought a lot of material, and it's all about how to make our brains work better.
Right, exactly.
And that's what we try to do every time, right? Go through all the stuff and pull out the gold.
Yep, find the nuggets.
The really useful stuff.
Exactly.
The interesting stuff. That's what we're after.
Yeah, and there is so much here. I mean, it really seems like it covers everything about brain power.
Oh, yeah.
Not just, like book smarts, but
Right.
how to have a good memory, how to really focus, how to unlock that creativity, even how to solve tough problems.
Yeah, and I like that the main takeaway seems to be like, our brains aren't set in stone, right?
Right.
Like we can actually work on them and make them better.
Absolutely. That's the exciting part.
So that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
The core ways to boost our brain health. And all of this is coming from the research you brought.
Right, from the source.
Straight from the source.
Yeah.
Okay, so to kick things off, one of the first things the material looks at is what brain power even means.
Right.
It's not just like an IQ test score, is it?
No, it's much broader than that.
Yeah.
It's like this whole set of mental skills working together.
Okay, yeah.
It's about how well you can pick up new stuff and actually remember it.
Right.
It's how sharp your focus is, how easily you can come up with fresh ideas, how well you handle those tricky situations.
Yeah.
So it's a very well-rounded picture of your mental abilities.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's a bunch of things together.
It's the whole package.
Yeah, okay, so one thing that I thought was pretty cool was how they compared the brain to a muscle.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, right?
Makes sense to me.
Like the more you work it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a really good analogy because it highlights that adaptability of the brain. When you challenge it, when you push it, it actually responds by creating new connections between your brain cells, between the neurons, and the connections that are already there, they get stronger.
Oh, wow.
And that's what we call neuroplasticity.
Okay.
This amazing ability of your brain to actually rewire itself based on what you're experiencing.
So like if you're learning something new, like physically your brain is changing.
It's changing, it's forming new pathways, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, imagine you're walking through a forest, and the more you walk a certain path,
right,
the clearer and stronger that path becomes.
Okay.
That's kind of what's happening in your brain.
I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about making it work hard, is it?
No.
The material also talks about giving your brain the right kind of fuel and,
right,
like regular maintenance.
Absolutely.
They compare it to, like a high performance car.
Exactly.
You can't just put any gas in it. You gotta
take care of it.
give it the premium stuff and make sure everything is running smoothly.
Regular tune-ups.
So how does that apply to the brain?
Well, I think it means that you need a balanced approach for your brain to function at its best.
Okay.
You need the right nutrients.
Yeah.
You got to move your body, get enough rest so your brain can actually recover. And you got to challenge it mentally.
Yeah.
Keep it sharp, keep it flexible.
So if any of that stuff's missing, your brain's not going to be running as well.
Exactly. It's going to affect the performance.
Okay, so let's talk about that fuel.
Yeah.
Like what we eat, because the material really talks about how important that is for our brains.
Oh, it's huge.
Really?
Yeah, there's a very clear connection between what we eat and how our brains work. And what's really interesting is how specific nutrients can actually influence different parts of our thinking abilities.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's not just like general healthy eating.
Right. Certain things affect certain areas.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like one of the things the source talks about is fatty fish.
Okay, yeah.
So that's something that comes up a lot.
Yeah, and that's because of those omega-3s, right?
Exactly.
And the material talks about how they're so important for the membranes of our brain cells.
Right.
And they help us learn better. And they might even help protect against Alzheimer's.
That's what the research suggests, yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
So how do those omega-3s actually, how do they work on a cell level?
Well, you have to think of the omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA and EPA.
Okay.
These are found in fatty fish.
Okay.
And they become part of the structure of your brain's cell membranes.
Oh, wow.
It's like, the membranes are like the gatekeepers of your cells.
Okay.
They influence how the cells actually communicate with each other.
Oh, okay.
So when these membranes have lots of omega-3s, they're more flexible and fluid, and that means better signaling between neurons, which is crucial for learning and memory. Now, when it comes to Alzheimer's, research suggests that omega-3s might help reduce the buildup of certain proteins that are linked to the disease.
Oh, wow.
but this is still being studied.
Still being studied.
Yeah, there's more research to be done.
Okay, it makes sense, yeah.
But it's promising.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another food they mentioned were blueberries.
Oh, yes.
And they sound like these tiny little antioxidant powerhouses.
They are.
They can boost our memory and protect brain cells from damage.
Right.
And I thought it was interesting that studies have shown that they might help slow down brain aging.
Yeah, they're pretty incredible.
That's amazing.
So blueberries are packed with these antioxidants,
Right.
which are basically compounds that help neutralize harmful molecules called free radicals.
Okay.
And these free radicals can cause something called oxidative stress,
Uh-huh.
which is a major contributor to aging and damage in your body, and that includes the brain.
Right.
So by fighting against this stress, the antioxidants in blueberries can help keep those brain cells healthy and functioning well,
Okay.
potentially slowing down age-related cognitive decline.
Wow. So it's not just a myth, like blueberries really are brain food.
They're the real deal.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So they also mentioned nuts and seeds,
Right?
and they're good for their vitamin E content, right?
That's right, which is important for protecting brain cells.
Yeah, and they specifically talked about walnuts being really good because of their high DHA levels,
Exactly.
which again is that same omega-3 that's in fatty fish, right?
That's right.
And it helps boost cognitive performance.
It does.
It's interesting how all these different nuts and seeds have these slightly different benefits for the brain.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So vitamin E, that's another powerful antioxidant.
Okay.
Really contributes to the well-being of those brain cells.
Yeah.
And the fact that walnuts are a good source of DHA just reinforces how important that omega-3 is for things like attention and how fast your brain processes information.
Gotcha.
So it seems like having a mix of different nuts and seeds in your diet can give you a wider range of those brain-boosting nutrients.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is a surprise.
What's that?
Dark chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Good for your brain.
In moderation, yes.
Okay, all right. So they're saying the flavonoids, the caffeine, the antioxidants in it can help you focus better and can even improve, what did they call it? Brain plasticity.
Yes, brain plasticity.
Yeah, like the brain's ability to learn and adapt.
Exactly.
So a little bit of chocolate might actually be good for your brain,
A little bit, yeah.
as long as you don't go overboard.
Moderation is key, but yeah, those compounds in dark chocolate, especially those flavonoids,
Okay.
they can really enhance blood flow to the brain.
Oh, wow.
It's like giving your brain more fuel and oxygen.
Okay, so it's like
Right where it needs it.
turbocharging it a little bit.
In a way, yes.
Okay, cool.
That improved blood flow. Along with those effects from the caffeine and antioxidants,
Right.
they can really help you focus better in the short term.
Gotcha.
And when it comes to neuroplasticity, the way those compounds are thought to work is they support the growth and survival of your neurons.
Oh, so it's actually helping your brain cells
It's helping them thrive.
thrive.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then, of course, no brain food list would be complete without leafy greens.
Oh, absolutely.
So kale, spinach,
Yeah.
broccoli,
All the good stuff.
packed with folate, vitamins, all those good nutrients that our brains need to work properly.
Essential stuff.
Yeah, so it really does seem like eating a variety of colorful, nutrient-rich foods is like the foundation of a healthy brain.
I couldn't agree more.
Right.
It's like building a house.
Okay.
You need that strong foundation.
Yeah.
And those leafy greens, they're full of those micronutrients that are essential for all sorts of brain functions.
Oh, wow.
Everything from how your brain produces energy to making those neurotransmitters. Those are the messengers that let your brain cells talk to each other.
Right.
And folate in particular, that's super important for healthy neural development.
Okay.
So, taking care of your body with all these good foods
Yeah.
is like a direct investment in your brain.
It's like putting money in the bank.
Exactly.
For your brain.
It's your brain, yeah.
So maybe reaching for those blueberries and walnuts as a snack isn't a bad idea after all.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. All right, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about something else that's really important for brain health.
Okay.
Exercise.
Yes, exercise.
It's amazing how something that seems so physical can have such a big impact on our brains.
It is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and the material talks about things like, better blood flow to the brain,
Right.
improved memory, even just a better mood.
All good things.
Yeah, all good things.
Absolutely.
So how does that work? Like, how does moving our bodies actually trigger those changes in our brains?
Well, think about it. When you exercise, your heart pumps faster, right? Which means more oxygen and nutrients are getting to your brain cells.
Okay.
This increase in blood flow helps them function better, and it can even help your brain grow new blood vessels.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the memory improvement that's connected to several factors, including the release of these things called growth factors.
All right.
And also the strengthening of connections between the parts of your brain that handle memory, like the hippocampus.
Right.
And the fact that you feel better after exercising, that's probably because your body's releasing endorphins.
Those are the feel-good chemicals, right?
Exactly, your natural mood boosters.
Okay, and so exercise actually causes that to happen.
It does.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it also helps to lower those stress hormones.
Okay, so it's like a double whammy.
It is, yeah.
It's giving you the good stuff and taking away the bad stuff.
Exactly.
Like
and then there's this thing called BDNF.
BD's and F.
Yeah, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
Okay, that sounds
It's a mouthful.
very scientific.
It is.
So what is that exactly?
Well, think of it as like a super fertilizer for your brain cells.
Okay.
It helps new neurons grow and strengthens the ones you already have.
Okay.
And exercise is a great way to increase BDNF levels in your brain.
So, I mean, what does that mean for us?
Well, it means that it's creating a better environment for your brain cells to be healthy and grow.
Okay, so the more BDNF we have,
The
the better our brains are going to be.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we get more BDNF?
Exercise.
Exercise. Okay, so it's a pretty good reason to get moving.
It is. It's essential for a healthy brain.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like, crazy intense workouts.
No, not at all.
They said like even 30 minutes of moderate exercise,
That's right.
like walking, running, even yoga
Right.
can make a difference.
Absolutely.
But they also mentioned that things like dancing and martial arts might have even more benefits
We do.
because they involve coordination and you have to think more.
You got to use your brain.
So it's not just your body.
Yeah. It's a mind-body connection.
It makes sense because you're not just going through the motions.
Right.
You're actually having to think and coordinate all your movements.
Exactly. You're challenging your brain in a whole new way.
Yeah, so you're engaging more parts of your brain.
That's the idea.
Okay, so I guess
Yeah.
any kind of exercise is good. But if you can find something that really engages your mind and your body,
Even better.
even better.
Yeah.
And it's great that exercise also helps with stress and sleep,
Right.
which are both super important for our brains, right?
Absolutely. They're all
It's
connected.
like this big web,
It is. All these different aspects of our well-being,
Right.
they influence each other.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So when you exercise regularly, it can help your body manage stress better and it can help you sleep better.
Gotcha.
And that creates a much better environment for your brain to function at its best.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of sleep, let's dive into that a bit.
Okay.
Because the material really emphasizes how important it is for our brains to work properly.
It's crucial.
Yeah, I mean, we all know we need sleep, but it's
No.
like, why?
Exactly.
What's actually happening in our brains when we're sleeping?
Well, sleep isn't just about resting your body.
Right.
It's a very active time for your brain.
Really?
Oh, yeah. All sorts of essential processes are happening while you sleep.
So what kind of things are happening?
Well, for one, your brain is clearing out toxins.
Okay.
It's consolidating your memories, and it's even repairing itself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like a nightly tune-up for your brain.
Like a little mechanic comes in
Exactly.
and fixes everything
It
up.
cleans things up, yeah.
Okay, so what kind of toxins are we talking about?
Well, during the day when you're awake, your brain cells produce these metabolic byproducts,
Okay.
and one of them is called beta amyloid,
Okay.
which is a protein that's actually linked to Alzheimer's disease. Yeah, and during deep sleep, your brain has a much better system for getting rid of this waste.
So it's like cleaning house.
It's getting rid of all the junk,
Yeah.
and then there's memory consolidation.
Yeah.
This is when your brain replays and strengthens the connections related to what you learned during the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically moving information from short-term memory to long-term memory.
Oh, wow. So it's like actually filing things away.
Exactly, organizing everything.
Wow. So it's not just about, feeling rested.
No, it's much more than that.
That's actually about our brains working properly.
It's essential for cognitive function.
Okay. And the consequences of not getting enough sleep?
They're pretty serious.
Yeah, they sound pretty bad.
Things like memory problems, trouble making decisions. Even a higher risk of developing neurological diseases.
Yeah, so it's not something to mess around with.
Definitely not. Sleep is crucial for a healthy brain.
All right, so how much sleep should we be aiming for?
Well, for most adults, the recommendation is around 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night.
Quality sleep.
Yeah, that's important.
Okay, so not just any sleep.
No, you want to make sure you're getting good sleep.
Okay, so how do we make sure we're getting good sleep?
Well, the material gives some practical tips.
Okay.
Like dimming the lights before bed,
Right.
reducing screen time, those blue lights from our phones and tablets.
They're not helping, are they?
Not at all. They can interfere with our sleep cycles.
Okay.
And having a relaxing bedtime routine.
Okay, yeah.
So that your body knows it's time to wind down.
Right.
So tell me, how do those blue lights actually mess with our sleep?
Well, they suppress the production of melatonin,
Okay.
which is a hormone that regulates our sleep-wake cycle.
So if we have less melatonin, we're not going to sleep as well.
Exactly. It makes it harder to fall asleep, and it can disrupt the quality of your sleep.
And I guess that's why they say to reduce screen time before bed.
That's right. Give your brain a break from those blue lights. Okay, so what about that relaxing bedtime routine?
Well, it's basically about signaling to your body and mind that it's time to relax and prepare for sleep.
Right.
So things like taking a warm bath,
Uh-huh.
reading a book, maybe listening to some calming music.
Right, yeah.
Anything that helps you wind down.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They also mentioned listening to white noise or calming music to help you fall asleep.
Yeah, that can be helpful for some people.
I've tried that.
Oh, yeah.
It does help sometimes.
Yeah, it can really block out those distracting noises
Yeah.
and create a more peaceful environment.
It's like having a constant soothing sound.
Exactly. It can be very relaxing.
Okay, so we talked about fueling our brains with the right food. We
Yeah.
talked about moving our bodies.
Right.
We talked about getting enough sleep.
Important stuff.
All super important. But now let's talk about actively engaging our brains.
Yeah.
Keeping them stimulated.
Absolutely. That's key for brain health.
Yeah, because the material talks about the importance of mental stimulation and continuous learning.
Right. And that's where neuroplasticity comes into play again.
Right?
That ability of your brain to change and adapt throughout your life.
So it's like we're constantly building new pathways in our brains.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and the material suggests things like learning a new skill or a new language.
Excellent examples.
Because it really forces your brain to adapt and stay flexible.
Right.
So I guess anything that challenges you mentally.
That's the idea.
Yeah, so what happens when we learn something new? Like what's going on in the brain?
Well, when you learn a new skill,
Uh,
you're activating multiple brain regions and cognitive processes all at once.
wow.
It's like a full-on workout for your brain.
Okay.
And this enhances neuroplasticity
Mm-hmm.
and what we call cognitive reserve, which is your brain's ability to cope with damage or age-related decline. It's like
Uh-huh.
building a more resilient brain.
So the more we challenge ourselves, the stronger our brains become.
That's exactly it.
Okay, and something as simple as reading books regularly can make a difference.
It can, because it stimulates the parts of your brain responsible for comprehension and analytical thinking.
Right, because you're not just passively reading words.
No, you're actively processing information.
Thinking about it.
You're engaging with the text.
Right, okay.
And it also helps to broaden our perspectives and keep our minds sharp.
Okay, what about brain games?
Brain games are great
Yeah.
because they can enhance cognitive flexibility and decision-making skills.
So what's cognitive flexibility?
Cognitive flexibility is your brain's ability to switch between different tasks or ideas,
Okay.
to adapt to changing rules or demands,
Yeah.
and to think outside the box.
Oh.
So, for example, someone with good cognitive flexibility might find it easier to multitask effectively,
Okay.
or to come up with creative solutions to problems,
Right.
or to adjust their plans when things don't go as expected.
Okay, so it's like being able to adapt to different situations.
Exactly, being mentally agile.
I like that, mental agility.
Yeah, and brain games often challenge these specific executive functions.
Okay.
So they can help improve your ability to adapt and think flexibly in all sorts of situations.
Cool, so brain games, definitely a good thing.
Definitely.
And what about writing?
Writing is wonderful for the brain
Yeah.
because it strengthens those neural connections and improves memory retention.
Oh, wow.
It's like solidifying your thoughts on paper,
Okay.
which in turn helps to solidify them in your mind.
So it's like the act of writing it down actually helps you remember it better?
It does, because it forces you to organize your thoughts and retrieve information from your memory.
Right, you're not just thinking about it, you're actually putting it into words.
Exactly. It's a more active form of processing.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess the takeaway here is that we need to keep our brains actively engaged
Absolutely.
if we want them to stay healthy and function at their best.
Right. Lifelong learning and consistent mental engagement are key.
Okay, and this is something that we can do throughout our lives.
Yes, it's never too late to start.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, so just like physical exercise keeps our bodies strong and adaptable,
Right.
mental exercise does the same for our minds.
Okay.
Keeps them sharp, resilient, ready for new challenges.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of good things for our brains.
We have.
But now let's talk about something that can be really bad for our brains.
Okay, what's that?
Stress.
Yes, stress.
And the material really highlights how damaging it can be to our brain power.
It's a silent killer
Yeah.
for the brain.
It can actually damage neurons
It can.
and weaken our memory.
That's right.
So how does that work? Like, how does stress actually cause this damage?
Well, when we're stressed, our bodies release hormones like cortisol.
Right.
And if we're exposed to high levels of these hormones for a long time, it can really have negative effects on how our brain is structured and how it functions.
Okay.
It can make it harder to form new memories. It can reduce cognitive flexibility, and it can even damage areas like the hippocampus.
Right, which is that part of the brain that's so important for memory.
Exactly.
So chronic stress is basically like
It's toxic for the brain.
toxic for the brain, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty scary.
It is, but the good news is that there are things we can do about it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there are ways to manage stress effectively.
So what are some of those ways?
Well, the material suggests things like meditation and deep breathing.
Okay.
Even just 10 minutes a day can make a difference.
Really?
Yeah, it can boost your focus, reduce anxiety, and help you regulate your emotions better.
It sounds almost too simple.
I know, but the research behind mindfulness is really strong.
Okay, so how does that work? Like, how does taking a few deep breaths actually change our brains?
Well, these mindfulness practices, like meditation and deep breathing, they help us become more aware of our thoughts and feelings in the present moment
Okay.
without judgment. And this increased self-awareness can actually help to calm down our body's stress response,
Okay.
which leads to lower levels of cortisol. Right, that's stress hormone.
Exactly.
So it's like we're training our brains to be less reactive to stress. In a way, yes.
Okay, cool.
And even short, regular practice can make a big difference over time.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So you don't have to become like a meditation guru.
No, just a few minutes each day can be really beneficial.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So they also mentioned listening to music as a way to manage stress.
Oh, music is fantastic for the brain.
Yeah.
It stimulates so many different parts of our brain.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It can really lift our mood and even boost creativity.
Wow, so it's like a sonic massage for the mind.
I like that. Yeah, it's like a mental vacation.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess we all have those songs that just make us feel better.
Absolutely. Music has a profound effect on our emotions.
Right.
And it can be a really powerful tool for managing stress and even enhancing cognitive performance.
Okay, so music. Check. What about spending time in nature?
Nature's another great one.
Yeah.
Research suggests that it can actually lower cortisol levels.
Really?
Yeah, just being outdoors can have a calming effect on our brains.
That makes sense. I always feel more relaxed after spending time in nature.
It's like a reset button for the mind.
Yeah, and there's something about the fresh air, the sounds of nature, the scenery.
The sights, the sounds, the smells.
Yeah, it just seems to have this calming effect.
It's a sensory experience that our brains really respond to.
Okay, so creating a calm environment,
Yeah.
both internally through things like mindfulness and externally by spending time in nature,
Right.
is really important for our brains to function at their best.
Absolutely. It's about creating the right conditions for your brain to thrive.
Okay, so it's not just about pushing our brains hard, it's also about giving them a break.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
Okay, cool. Now this is a really interesting one.
What's that?
The power of social connections.
Oh, yes. Social connections are so important.
Yeah, and the material talks about how having strong social connections can actually benefit our brain function.
It's true. We're social creatures by nature,
Right.
and our brains thrive on connection.
So how does that work? Like, how does talking to someone or spending time with loved ones actually make our brains work better?
Well, when we engage in meaningful conversations, spend quality time with people we care about, even share laughter, we're stimulating multiple brain regions and keeping them active.
Okay.
Social interaction gives us both mental stimulation and emotional support.
Right. Because you're using your brain to talk and listen and understand.
Exactly. And you're also getting that emotional boost from connecting with others.
Right. Which is also good for our mental health.
Absolutely. It's all interconnected.
So those connections, they're keeping our brains engaged. And that's good for things like memory and other cognitive skills.
Right. It contributes to cognitive reserve,
Oh.
which makes our